Call the meeting to order at 5:30 something. They're both about the same time, 5:32. Any adjustments to the agenda?
Yeah, I just have one correction. So the next meeting date is January 2nd, 2019,
Yes,
not today.
not today. We're
Right.
not going to double up and be done with it. That would have been easier.
Are we allowed to do that?
I don't know. We can do whatever we want.
No, we have a lot of work to do in January.
Sure.
Okay.
All right, so with that adjustment, we'll go on to approval of minutes of December 5th.
All right, I'll move to approve the minutes of December 5th.
I second that with one spelling correction.
Which is,
Amen.
yeah. So the minutes of December 5th have been moved and seconded to be approved with one spelling correction. If there's no further discussion, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Public comment on items not on the agenda. We don't have any public here today, so I think we can move on from that to select board items. First item for discussion is the SeVeds appropriation.
So I need to confirm, we had the discussion, SeVeds was here.
Yeah.
So they're wondering if the appropriation will be a line item in the budget, or do they need to go out with a petition?
My opinion is no, they don't.
Okay.
But I'm certainly open to further discussion about that if you or anybody else has any comment on it. I mean, it's still, it's still obviously open for discussion, as I said
On the
last
floor,
time.
yes.
Exactly.
Okay.
If somebody specifically complained about it, we wouldn't be required to take it out, but we would certainly, if there was a majority opinion on that, I think we would certainly listen to it. But I think that 3 years of having the same petition and the same discussion seems sufficient, and I think it's a worthwhile investment, and I think we all agree on that. So,
I agree with you too.
yeah.
So I will put it in the budget and we'll see what happens at town meeting.
Sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
Phase 3 sidewalk status.
So the sidewalk, as I mentioned before, it is gearing up. I will be setting up a meeting with the sidewalk committee, which is Pip, Steve, you're on that committee as well. Alice Mays, Corey Mack with RSG Engineering, and the new project manager, Peter Pochop, with the state. So, and Alyssa, I might have you in there too, but we'll do a teleconference. We do have a tentative schedule. It's gonna go out to bid early January.
Good.
For spring construction. And I'm working on resident engineers. I have a list of 8 firms that, we have to choose like 3 to 4.
Is Pathways one of them?
Pathways will be on our list.
Yeah.
And then I'll choose 3 more. But I was gonna discuss it with the sidewalk committee as well.
My recollection, and correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, but that we were very happy with Pathways. With
They
their
did
work before.
both
So I
phases, correct?
I believe so, yes.
I know they did the second
Second one, for
phase.
sure.
They definitely
Yes.
did the
Not sure
second
about the
one.
first.
Yeah, actually, I think they did though. I don't remember actually. But we should certainly send them,
They're
we should
number
make them
one.
aware of it.
They're number 1 on my list
Okay.
already, so, but they will get a request for qualifications. So, from
Sounds
us.
good.
So that's moving forward. And anyone's invited to come to that meeting.
And do you have a sense of what the revised bid numbers look like?
They're
or
higher than what we originally.
By, I don't need exact numbers.
I think
mean,
it's like 200,000.
It's that much?
Mhm.
Wow, okay.
It's huge.
So, we may have already talked about this, but do we have a sense of where that's going to come from? Some of it will be increased grant money, but not all of it?
We have 2 grants.
Yeah,
We just secured a second grant, and
that's bicycle and pedestrian.
Yes.
Bicycle and pedestrian is one.
Yes.
And the
They're
other one
both,
is
they're both, well, there's a,
related to-
yeah. There is another small grant, like 25,000.
Uh-huh,
So that's in there, as well as Landmark College.
Yeah.
The third
Yeah.
installment.
yeah,
And then our match,
Okay.
which was 20%, 10%.
right. Okay.
So I'm comfortable that we're covered
That we're
financially.
not gonna have to go way over.
I
our
don't
match.
see that
Yeah.
we are gonna be borrowing any money.
Okay.
So I think, I'm confident we're covered.
And if we go out early to bid, we may
Right,
do all right on bidding, and that
yes.
would be good.
Mhm.
So it's getting exciting.
Good, yeah. That would be a good change.
Kyle Scrocky too will be part of that committee, because
Yeah.
he's with Landmark.
Yeah,
Oh,
So he'll get an invitation as well,
sounds good.
okay?
do you have a date yet, or?
I want to try to get it scheduled for next week, either Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday.
Mhm.
That's school vacation, Steve.
Yeah. The way it's falling
Steve
this year.
vacation, too.
Yeah,
If you want me there, I won't be here Wednesday.
That's right.
yeah, and I'll actually be visiting my dad.
Okay,
Don't do it next week, I have Thursday and Friday I have to work too.
yeah. We'll try to pull
Landmark,
some,
yeah, interesting to see Landmark, people might be out there too.
right,
Yeah, the
So I was
week after-
thinking
the
4
week after
o'clock.
might be better, but.
yeah.
Let me know which day, and then I'll see.
Yeah, I'll coordinate
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Okay,
Right, Kyle's on vacation that week too, so, because this whole place is closed.
all right. So maybe after the first of the year.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
makes more sense.
Might be more successful in getting
Yeah.
it there.
Okay. All right.
Anything else on that?
No.
Okay. Dummerston Putney gravel pit status. We met, Karen and I
Wednesday.
met last Wednesday with Hugh, again, who's the select board member who's really been the main contact over there.
Yeah.
Lee and Brian was not present, right? Or
No.
did he show up? No, he didn't
No,
show
'cause-
up, that's
no,
right, yeah.
And Lewis
Because
White.
Brian, 2 days before that, Brian's partner had a baby girl.
Yeah,
And everything went well, and they were happy. Last I talked to them, they were happy and healthy and home and so on.
yeah.
So he's been a little busy.
And she's cute too. We saw pictures today, finally. So,
And then also, yes, Lewis White, who is also a select board member, newly returned to the select board, but has previous, so he was sort of being brought up to speed a little bit. Not huge changes. The one sort of big question for us is there's some debate about whether the existing permitting allows the access through, there's basically 2 separate pits that have been merged together. The original one, which was the SB pit, and the Renault pit was added later. And the way it looks is that we're probably going to want and need access through the SB pit in order to get to the Renault pit. And it's not 100% clear whether the Act 250 permits were written to allow for that. So we were having legal revisit that. We also worked on sort of the concept of merging 2 different spreadsheets that had been being worked on by Karen and Ryan and Hugh and Lee, and then trying to bring them together and see what that looked like. So we're just working through things, but,
and I have pulled the spreadsheet together even further.
uh-huh,
I sat down with Brian today, explained it to him.
yeah,
So he saw what we were doing. It makes more sense too now. I'll sit down
a little
with you.
streamlined, yeah.
Yes, and I want to talk to Hugh about it. But it looks good and it's consistent.
Yeah, that was one of the things
Yes.
that we were working on, was that there were, because of the expenses involved, there was the potential for sort of dips and spikes in how we would need to manage the finances of it. And so we were trying to figure out whether there were reasonable ways to at least somewhat level that out. So, you know, there will be some cyclical aspects to it, but we don't want it to do
Right.
this.
And it's
so-
not gonna do that, the only time it will do that is, every 5 years where there was the reclamation.
Which, right,
Yeah.
which will be a larger expenditure,
Yeah.
but what we talked about was essentially
But it's
having
just a
reserve
little
funds to
increase, yeah.
sort of.
They are level now, and I also, anticipated, 10 years out of the carpenter pit.
Yeah,
So I've adjusted the spreadsheet, we need to now take a look at it.
sounds good.
Hugh sent me an email, and I don't have it here, because I forgot to print it off, but February 13th,
Is a proposed,
public
was a
hearing.
proposed public meeting day, a
Yeah.
hearing day.
He's locked in Dummerston School
Okay,
to have an informational public hearing.
okay.
So as we get closer to that, we will send out information and,
Publicize that.
yes, yeah,
And basically, the thought behind picking that day was to be close enough to, well, to allow us to get all the homework done appropriately, be close enough to town meeting day so that it would be fresh in people's minds for a vote on it, but allow enough time possibly to have a joint public meeting and then each of the towns maybe to have a meeting of their own the following week or something along those lines. So, so we're gonna sort of play that by ear and see
Yeah.
how it goes. But, so that's sort of what we're lining up right now. And once we, I mean, it won't be too much longer before we, roughly a month before we need to actually have the wording for the article. So we're sort of stepping through that and having legal advise us on that, et cetera.
and the
So,
purchase and sale was 90% complete.
right, and we don't, the purchase and sale has not been agreed on yet, so that's not yet a public document.
Right.
So that's what we'll, basically until we have that in hand
Right.
and
yeah.
we have the finances sort of figured out thoroughly, we can't really come up with an article because we don't know
Right.
exactly what everything looks like, so.
Makes sense.
So that's where we're at.
There was an article in the Commons about it last week.
I didn't see that.
I didn't see it either, we
It
didn't
was a
get,
cover.
yeah,
cover
I heard
piece.
it was in the,
La La Land.
I didn't see it.
Okay, audit update?
John Mudgett was here yesterday, for a few hours. And, he gathered some more information. He does have a draft audit at this point. He's gonna plug in the new information and numbers. And, we should see a draft version by the next meeting on January 2nd. So I will present that to you.
Do we have a deadline for needing to?
Yeah, yeah, because we have to.
It has to be printed in the town report, right?
Not in the town
Well,
report.
the approval of it,
Yeah, we do a little
Summary,
insert
yeah.
that it's ready
right?
for the public, they can pick it up, it'll be
Right,
on the
right,
website. And I believe it's, the deadline was in January. Petitions. It's in here somewhere.
Anyway, it's in January.
Anyways, it's in January,
Yeah, okay.
so.
And you're not anticipating that being an issue?
No,
Okay.
no.
Good. All right. Town managers report?
Oh, I do have one of those. I'm trying to keep it. So we did have the annual community luncheon today, and we had quite a few people from the community, which was great. We're gonna do it again next year. And, but it was nice to see people come out and enjoy an hour or so.
had good food and
It was good food.
nice crowd. Yeah,
Yeah.
worked out well.
Yep.
And I think Alyssa and Kim were largely responsible for that. so
Well, I
thank you.
really want to thank my administrative assistant, Alyssa Harlow, because without you, she like.
Wouldn't have happened.
She organized, she coordinated, she set up, she broke down, and she's
I
really
rolled meat last
wonderful.
night.
Yeah, she cooked my meatballs for me.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm like, so she did a wonderful job, and I just want to say thank you very much. She was a great influence on making this work,
Good.
so, and,
And there's still cookies.
yes.
Yeah.
So I want to mention too, the office is closed on December 25th, which is Tuesday next week. Town clerk will be on vacation all week. So from December 24th to January 2nd, he is on vacation. The assistant town clerk is not in on Mondays.
Okay.
So the 24th and December 31st, the town clerk's office will not be open.
And the 25th it will not be.
Right, and the
Sort of
1st.
needless. to
Right,
spring.
right.
Yes.
But I'm just saying that Monday, there
The
will
two,
not
the
be
two
a town,
Mondays, there won't be
no town
town
clerk.
clerk functions.
Um,
And otherwise, she'll have fairly regular hours, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, is that right?
what'll happen, she will cover Jonathan's hours.
Okay,
So she'll be open till 7 PM on Wednesday, Thursday and Friday she'll.
and is this posted or not? We might want to post it. They just might want to post it in the next day
Yeah,
or two,
yeah.
so that people have a little bit of a heads up.
Yeah, I'll mention that. And then my administrative assistant will be out on Monday and Wednesday, so she'll be out 3 days.
Good.
So at this point, on the 24th, I'm gonna close the office that Monday.
For the whole day,
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah,
sounds reasonable.
so, I mean, I don't believe there's gonna be much business.
No, I wouldn't think
And
so.
then, December 31st,
Same thing,
no, I'm gonna think that one through.
at least be here for.
Yes, yeah. So,
Somebody needs to do something before the,
we have a meeting that week, guys, come on.
yeah.
But, so the December 24th, the office will be closed. And I talked to Brian too, and as long as his guys have their work done,
They'll take the 24th off as well.
yeah,
Okay.
or at least work a half day,
Sounds good.
all right? I just wanted to inform the board
Okay.
and the public. So the next 2 weeks will be a priority for me. Be working on the draft budget, trying to get that, 95% complete for review on the 2nd. So I hope to get it to you sooner than later. Maybe give it to you on a Friday. You can review it over the weekend, something like that. But we still have time for that because by the end of January, we should approve and adopt.
Yeah,
Okay?
Yeah.
We are getting closer.
yeah. What's our deadline for town report publishing?
Town report has to be to the printer. It's usually a 2-week turnaround, so for the town clerk to have the town report done, they should have it in as second week of February, no later.
Or, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, we should certainly,
Yeah,
if we can be done with our part of it by the end of January, basically, I
Right.
think that would be,
because town reports have to be out to the community by February 23rd.
10 days, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it takes some doing. So
Right.
I think we should plan on finishing anything we need to finish on the 30th if it's not,
Mhm.
if it's not.
And if we have to have an extra meeting in there,
16.
we,
Yeah,
Yeah, we actually have 3 then.
we have,
Three
exactly.
that month
We have the
anyway,
2nd, the
so
16th,
it
the 30th,
works
so it
out.
should be
Yeah.
fine.
Yep.
But,
so I'm gonna tighten it
Sure.
up, and that way, we'll have to discuss, line items, and then we'll see what happens.
Sounds good.
But it's your usual stuff, you know, your insurances and, you know, salaries
Yeah.
that are increased, but, and, you know, new truck, something like that. But
Mhm.
most of the stuff will be level funded like it is every year. And we will have to discuss the appropriations, how we're gonna,
Break those out.
yeah, especially the top tier.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
I did get a verbal, 2 candidates for Citizen of the Year. I asked to have them in
I
writing,
think I've heard that as well, so.
but, I'll give it a little more time.
Yeah.
Because
Sounds good.
again, we don't really need to do anything with that until January.
Actual tech meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, yes. Also, I mean, Citizen of the Year is one thing. But
Dedication.
Dedication is the other thing.
Yeah, and I'll
We should-
remind you of that as well.
And we talked about that a little bit,
Mhm.
that sometimes that clarifies itself at the last moment, so,
Right,
so we'll keep talking about that.
okay. And
All you got?
That's all I have.
Sounds good. Warrants?
Yeah, I'll move to approve and execute the warrants upon review.
Second that?
It's been moved and seconded to approve and execute the warrants upon review as presented. If there's no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Payroll warrant dated December 14th, 2018, in the amount of $9,027.09. That includes the library. Payroll warrant dated December 21st, 2018, in the amount of $6,524.61.
The public hearing, both towns are invited to that when they take it. That's the
Yes,
overall one.
Yeah. joint.
Mhm.
Joint meeting.
Just out of interest, why do we have people on here who have 0 and 0?
Want me to explain?
Sure.
So I was going over the payroll information that was input on people's individual payroll records and found that there was some incorrectly entered tax deductions taken from fringe benefits and a few from somebody's actual deductions for their health insurance. So in order to fix that, I had Lori come in from NIMRIC and we did a negative amount towards a check for them, which would result in a refund of the taxes that they had paid. Hence, a second check. So there should be 3 there. There should be the regular week, the one with the amount of the taxes that they're getting back, and then a 0 one. Not really sure why there's a 0 one.
Yeah, it's just
She explained it to
just to
me.
reconcile it
Yeah,
somehow.
yeah.
Okay,
Something,
yeah.
How'd you catch that?
Well,
eagle eyes.
no, she's done a really good job about cleaning up the benefits in payroll. So you have the fringes and then you have what the employee pays.
Right.
And because it's a new calendar year and we're already paying for January's bill, so she went in and
Sort
made
of had to
sure.
clean up the last year.
That
before.
everybody's working
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Yep, and she found a lot, well, not a lot, but there were several things. And one employee had been paying for a spouse since 2010, and on the dental, and they weren't even married any longer. So it never got changed in the system. And it's important to do it on an annual basis.
Right.
And remember I spoke to you about the dental going to a
Yeah.
calendar year?
Yeah.
We figured it out, it was gonna be $172 more. Not 1,000, it was $172 a year
To
to
have
make
it.
that change from July 1st to January. So now
and
everything's
so everything's
calendar
streamlined.
year.
So I'll have to remember to do it
Right,
this time of year for these 2 things, but then I gotta do it again in
The
June.
rest of the time,
for-
right.
Yeah, so.
And she put a whole packet together for people to check off what they want, if they're making changes, and it's clean, it's efficient. She streamlined it a lot.
Sounds good.
Good.
She did a lot of work cleaning it up,
Good.
so.
Thank you.
Accounts payable, December 7th through December 21st, $101,022.79. In here, there's 2 bills, one for Blue Cross Blue Shield and the other one is VLCT passive. And between the 2 of them, it's almost 40,000. And then there's Cargill, we're starting to pay for our salt. So that was a high invoice too, but everything else is just general. So,
Cost of living.
Good to
yeah.
get that salt from out. We might need it.
And the minimum wage is going up, by the way, January 1st to $10.78.
What does that affect? Library? What does,
It does, I don't, well, pool for one,
oh, yeah,
you know.
probably not anybody at the library, I wouldn't think.
No, and I don't think any of the on-call firefighters either. Although there was one we had to bump up. So,
Okay. What's it going to? 10?
$10.78. But you're right, the cost of living, Josh. So, yeah.
You didn't get it cheaper, that's for sure.
No.
Is that the last payment to rescue?
No, rescue's on a fiscal year. Yeah. As is the sheriff's department.
That's right.
Putney Community Cares is that's just their annual disbursement for their
Right.
social services. Yeah.
Did you say that you changed water services?
Changed water.
Did I just
Oh,
hear
no.
you say that?
For this water
Yeah,
in
for
there?
the,
Oh.
Yeah, just
No.
that one.
Their, Pepsi's doing away with their water.
oh,
Yeah, so we will be looking for
I checked with the school, I don't remember who they use.
another
Vermont.
vendor.
Is it
Vermont Spring,
Spring, I think that's what they use.
Mm.
Yeah.
when is that supposed to be happening?
I don't know yet. I'll have to talk to my son-in-law about that, but.
See the water guy.
They haven't let us know
Yeah, he
themselves,
manages
so I would say
sort of in the
not
water.
right away.
Betsy.
You know what I mean? You'd think that they would tell us.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now we only heard it word of mouth.
Right.
We haven't actually heard from them.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Other business, we just have a letter of resignation for Tom Nelson from the Energy Committee. And just like to thank Tom for his work on the Energy Committee. I know it was a short period of time for him, but sounds like he wasn't, his letter says it wasn't what he had expected, and but that he would be willing to be helpful in the future if he could be, so thank you for your time. And otherwise, do we need an executive session? I don't believe so, do we?
No, we do not.
Okay, so as Karen already stated, but to reiterate, our next meeting will be January 2nd, 2019. And otherwise, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Maybe the fastest.